Hello, my beautiful people. Welcome back to Level Headed. That's right. It's a new year and it's a new name for this series, for this podcast. I wanted to change the name of this series to something that doesn't involve a swear word. And even though that name does mean a lot to me and I didn't just choose it out of nowhere, I wanted something a little bit shorter, something that matched the vibe of what we talk about here and the vibes here a little bit better, something a little bit more, I'm trying to be a better person. So I thought level-headed is good because ultimately that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to get to a point where no matter what situation life throws at us, because life is going to throw us situations, we manage to stay level-headed and make the right decisions for ourselves. And that is what life is, and that is what we were all trying to figure out together. But today I am so excited. I originally did want to have this video out before the new year, but it didn't work out and I'm here now, and I still think this is an important thing to film and put out. This video is going to be about the lessons that the past 365 days have taught me. 2024 was a big year. A lot happened. I learned so much. I gained new perspectives on things. I did have external wins, but I also had a lot of internal wins that sometimes are just as important and sometimes just as valuable. So I want to share those with you guys. Some of the things that I learned this year, and I'm going to have anecdotes for all of them. I'm going to share with you guys the situations that happened in my life or the things that I observed that finally made me realize these truths. And listen, I wrote it all down for you guys. I wrote this on December 27th in my journal. By the way, my goal is to finish this before I leave Turkey, and I have 10 more days. So I have 10 more days to write 60 pages. Easy, so easy. And before I start, I also just want to say I love you all so much. Thank you for everybody who watches this. I feel very vulnerable sharing this, but also excited because this is something I wanted to do for a while. So I'm just doing it. That is one of the big wins of 2024. So this is going to be lessons learned / wins of 2024, or the past 365 days. Let's go. Also, fun fact, I'm going to get my wisdom teeth taken out today. So excited for that. Anyway, in a couple hours, literally in 2 hours. Okay. Lesson number 1 that I learned from 2024 is that you can't change people. And I know that sounds so obvious. I feel like logically, intellectually, I knew that that was the case beforehand. But this year, I just finally understood it. And I think that's because I got to see it from a different perspective. I think I understood it this year more from a perspective of not only you can't change people, but you also shouldn't want to change people. You're going to understand this better from my examples. The moment that I really understood this was when I was observing my brother. My brother comes up a lot in this podcast. So I did a lot of work on values this year, okay? And what are your values? You should know your values. You should be able to articulate your values because it almost becomes a rule book for how you want to live your life, and it becomes a rule book to how you make decisions. For example, if my values are very clear, if they are authenticity, curiosity, bravery, kindness, for example, I'm making it up, and a career choice comes along where it is not authentic, the environment there is extremely mean. If I know my values, I know for a fact that this place is going to anger me. This place is not going to be probably the best fit for me, and I can make my decision accordingly. I'm not going to go in blindly and then hate it and think, why am I hating this? Also, I don't have to just say no to everything that scares me. I know why it goes against who I am, and then I get to make that decision if I want to take that job, for example. So that's the work that I've been doing with values. So your values are always changing. Your values are always evolving. And obviously I've known my brother for his whole life, 20 whole years. And when you're very close to people, you start noticing certain values that they have. And for my brother, his top 3 values, in my opinion, are brutal honesty, dignity, and justice. And justice for him is what's right. My brother has a very kind heart, but if he sees a bully, he has no issue bullying a bully, if that makes sense. Because in his mind, the bully deserves it. People should get what they deserve. Very justice oriented. And sometimes the brutal honesty and the justice thing and the dignity thing, they're very heavy, and it happens often where he really feels the need to express every single one of his opinions, even if it's a little bit harsh and even if it's maybe, in my opinion, unnecessary in the moment. For example, while he does say the sweetest things if he thinks them, if he sees your dog and he doesn't like your dog, he's going to be like, I don't like your dog. Something that I would just I just wouldn't say anything. For my brother's entire existence, me and my mom and even my dad have tried to speak to him and say, like, you are making things harder on yourself by saying everything that comes to your mind. Because this would happen at school, this would happen with friends. Like, he had to say everything that he thought. And we would tell him, like, you sometimes don't have to say everything that you think. And we were saying this for his benefit because we love him and we want his life to be the best that it can possibly be. So in our minds, because our value was not brutal honesty, we were like, why are you making things harder for yourself? But every time we would bring that up to him, he would say, I can't lie. You want me to lie? And we were like, no, just don't say mean things. But in his head, if it's the truth, it's not mean. What I've noticed is there is no point in us, even if it's from the best place ever, even if it's because we want the best for him, if it's all from a place of love, there's no point in us trying to help him, because our intention was to help him. But there was no point in us trying to help him in that situation, because if he listens to us and he does actually not say the things he's thinking because he's trying to be more easygoing, we are telling him to try to be something that he is not, and he is going to go home and he is going to feel like a horrible person. He's going to feel like a liar because he didn't stand by his values. So I've noticed, like, it doesn't make him good or bad. The fact that I don't say every brutal thought that comes to my mind doesn't make me good or bad. We are just simply different. I think I always looked at trying to change someone from this perspective of, like, there's something wrong with this person, we need to fix it, or this person needs to fix it. But I never understood that it was the same thing as what I was trying to do with my brother. I did it completely out of love, but it wasn't helpful. And that advice is just not helpful. And it's, if anything, better that he acts in his values, because then he's going to attract the right people who like him for himself and like that he is always unapologetically himself, and those are the best people for him. Which connects me to rule 2 and 3. Number 2 is that living authentically attracts the right people. Being loyal to your own values, to your own beliefs, to what you think is right and wrong is going to attract the right people for you. Piggybacking off of the same example I gave about my brother, he believes that honesty and being a good person is voicing every single opinion that he has. He is going to be miserable if he is surrounded by people who see that as him being mean, and if he has to suppress all of those things and in his mind be a worse and less honest person. If he lives authentically that way, he is going to only attract the people that are going to be attracted by him. The people that are going to want to spend time with him are the people that appreciate him for this brutal honesty. It's people who can take this brutal honesty and who want to hear more and who appreciate the fact that he is completely being himself and being honest. If he were to pretend and suppress everything, he would attract the wrong people. He would attract people who like him not being himself. If it's happened before in my life where I'm hanging out with people and I just feel so disconnected and just drained, and why am I here, and I don't even enjoy being here, like this dread and this exhaustion around being around certain people. And it's so easy to blame the other people. What's hard is to look inward and to say, how am I acting that is making these kind of people want to be friends with me, if that makes sense? Because, like, clearly your energy, if you're spending time with all these people, like, I'm assuming your energies align. Sometimes it's better to look inwards, which that is going to be another lesson we're going to get to in a second. And number 3 is, again, connected to this. The right people for you want you to be your best self. Guys, this is so difficult because relationships are so complicated. Relationships, friendships, like family relationships, like it's so difficult sometimes because people change. You are not the same you that you were 6 months ago. Your friend is not the same friend that they were 6 months ago. This isn't a good or bad thing. It's just how humans are. We change. And sometimes the people that were the right people for you to spend time with 6 months ago are not the right people for you to be spending time with right now, for you to be your happiest, most fulfilled, most successful version, however you define successful. But I've really noticed this year how when you are with the right people, it doesn't take anybody babysitting you or taking care of you or holding your hand through everything to actually bring out the best in you. And for me, a big example for this was my boyfriend. It's just the truth. I have to say it. And it's actually like a good example, but it's also a blueprint that I use for my friendships. Like, I'm going to give the example off of him because it's one of the people I just spend the most time with and that I have like the most examples off the top of my head. But I wrote down my values in the beginning of the year, and some that I added were bravery and vulnerability. I didn't go and like explain my values to him. Like, that would have been fine, but I didn't go and say, hey, listen, these are my values, so you should encourage me to be these things. No, I didn't do any of that. But naturally, because we click, maybe because we have similar goals, maybe because we have similar values, because we want what's best for each other, just by me spending time with him, I've naturally been encouraged to act more in those values. For example, I don't have good balance and don't have a good sense of direction. I am not a good candidate for biking in the streets of New York. Okay, I like biking in nature. Thank you very much. I actually like not biking the best. But anyway, moving on. I was going to go bike somewhere with him, and he had an electric bike that he let me use. And I was like, absolutely not. I got on that bike, and it's the kind of bike that like when you start going, it like speeds up all of a sudden. And I was like, no, I can't do it. And he didn't make a fuss. He didn't get angry. He didn't make me feel unsafe. But he was like, you can do it. He was like, you can ride a bike. Get on the bike. And he went in front of me. He kept checking on me. If we were going to turn a certain way, he like signaled to me in the back. He would like signal for me to slow down. He was so supportive and he was so calm and patient with me that it allowed me to try something that I was very scared of and I was not willing to do in the beginning. And then I felt so good that I did that. I was like, why was I so freaked out by that? He also made me swim with sharks, which I was so happy I did because when I saw it, I was amazed, and those sharks were completely harmless and they were so beautiful and like minding their own business. And I was like, I can't believe I was gonna just skip this. I'm so glad that he encouraged me to do it. I recently met his family and he told everyone that I was gonna read the prayer that night, and the prayer was in Spanish and I don't speak Spanish, but I was like, okay. And that was a great bonding moment with everyone because he got me to be vulnerable, trying to read in a language that I don't speak in front of all these native speakers, which gave an opportunity for everybody to be warmed up to me. And I also was put in a vulnerable situation where I wasn't unsafe. He was pushing me in a way that was helping me naturally be more in my values. These are examples from like a significant other, but these should be your experiences with, in my opinion, with friendships as well. I think anybody that you're choosing to have in your life should, in my opinion, have a benefit to you. And that doesn't mean they should do things for you. It doesn't mean they have to help you through everything. They have to like be there for you all the time. No, obviously you're going to have your own lives, but just by them being themselves naturally encourages you to be the best version of yourself. And you know why? Because you deserve it. Because you're capable of anything. You can put in the work to get where you want to go, and you deserve to have people around you who see that and respect that and support that. Wait, my dentist is messaging me. Sorry, my dentist was calling. Okay. Lesson number 4 from 2024. The importance of counting your wins. I started this habit in 2024 where every night when I was going to bed, I would write down or think of all of my wins of the day. And you get to decide what a win is. Nothing is too small to be a win. So you get to decide what those wins are, and they don't have to be physical things that you accomplished. It could literally be this person was really rude and I kept my composure instead of slapping them in the face. Win. If you normally lose your temper and you didn't, that's a win. You get to decide basically what a win is for you. And I started doing that. And sometimes even in the morning or the night before, you can also write, what do I want my wins to be for tomorrow? And I cannot explain to you how this tiny little habit that takes me less than 5 minutes a day has changed the way I see things. First of all, I'm so much more encouraged to do more good because I'm always counting the things that I accomplished. I am so much more likely to see opportunities throughout the day for me to have wins. Okay, if I do this, I'm going to be able to write about it at night. If I don't do this, I'm going to have it in the back of my mind that I could have done this and I didn't do it. So you start catching those opportunities for wins throughout your day, and with time that really adds up. It's also constant motivation, you know what I mean, to be doing more and to be doing better. One of the moments that really taught this to me was I was in a project this summer and there was something that I had been vocal about that I didn't want to do, and it wasn't really necessary for the scene, and there were constant conversations happening around me on oh my God, how are we going to fix this? How are we going to cover this? What are we going to do instead? And it was making me feel so bad about like causing issues, which I wasn't, and nobody was telling me like you're causing issues. I'm just expressing what was going through my head. I'm not trying to like blame anyone for anything, but these conversations were happening around me, and I have a tendency to people please. I think a lot of women have a tendency to people please, and I felt the instinct to just be like, you know what, I'll do it so that this whole thing will be over. They'll stop talking about it. It won't be my fault. So I could just get out of the discomfort of being in this situation where I felt like I was causing an issue, when in reality, what was going on was not my job. Nobody was making it my job. What I was choosing to do was totally fine. And I swear to God, I actually was like, if I do this right now, if I go against my values and I do this thing that I told myself I didn't want to do, and that I was open with everybody about not wanting to do, at night, when I'm writing my wins, I'm going to feel like such a piece of shit for not taking care of myself and putting everybody's needs and opinions and wants above mine. I just knew, I had that moment of like, I will never be able to get this out of my head that I had this opportunity and I just like sacrificed myself. Absolutely not. And I swear to God, that is what made me stick to my decision to not do the thing that I didn't want to do. I was this close to going, I'll just do it. It's fine. It's not that big of a deal. Like telling myself, no, it's fine. Just do it. Just do it. Just do it. When it was against my values, and I had been very respectful and open about not wanting to do that. Just having this tiny habit where I, for less than 5 minutes, write down wins for the day, things that I'm proud of. I protected myself in a situation where only I could have protected myself. Like nobody was forcing me to do anything, but I was so uncomfortable with the fact that I felt like I was causing a problem. I was willing to just throw my values away in that moment for the sake of comfort and just like do it, you know, for the sake of like making everybody feel better. And that's wrong, and it's against my values. And I'm genuinely making a big effort this year. Actually, I've been making a very big effort to notice my people-pleasing tendencies and to do something about it. And that was one of those moments, and I got to take advantage of it, and I was so proud of myself for that. And everything worked out completely fine, and everyone was good about it. And listen, even if they weren't, even if they hadn't been, tough shit, I stood up for myself. So count your wins. It was just mind-boggling to me that something so little, some like tiny little habit that I started doing helped me take care of myself in a situation like that where I was so vulnerable. That was a lot of talking. Lesson number 5 that I learned from 2024 is to take risks. Do the thing that you are scared of, but you know deep down that you should do. I recently heard this quote. I think it was from Kanye. Don't cancel me. He said something like, trying is failing. And I kind of love it because I think you shouldn't try, you should do. And I had one professor that I loved, a philosophy professor, that would always say, don't try your best, do your best. I think this quote really resonates with this lesson that I learned, which is to do things that make you uncomfortable sometimes if you know that it is going to ultimately benefit you. And for me this year, and I've talked about this actually a million times here, I'm so sorry, it's my clown and improv class in acting school. I know my life is so hard and my problems are so big, but my clown and improv class was probably one of the most terrifying acting class experience, any acting experience ever. And I've had to smear fake period blood on my face and I've had to do some things on stage, like, let me tell you, but nothing terrified me more than clown and improv. The hold that clown and improv had on me. And this sounds like exaggerated, but I swear to God, this was a situation. Like, for me to be able to actually go to that class, I made my Mondays errand days because my class was at 2:30, and I just knew if I do anything that I have to think about this class, I am not gonna go. I'm not gonna go because I would go there, especially in the beginning, and my heart would just be beating like this, like it was going to beat out of my chest. I was so scared. I would shake. I would freeze. I would freeze a lot in that class. And I was so scared. And I was with people that I had done classes with and done shows with and worked with for the past 3 years. Nobody is going to do anything to me. Like, I'm in New York in liberal arts school doing clown class. Like, you're fine. I'm okay. But I was so so terrified by that class. And I felt so vulnerable in that class. And I think like there's just nothing that you can hide behind in that class. But remember, my values for bravery and curiosity, and I took the class because I knew the fact that I was so scared of it meant that I just had to take the goddamn class and just get over this irrelevant fear of being vulnerable in a new way in front of people. The fact that I was so terrified to get on a stage and put a nose on and just exist in front of people was concerning to me, especially as an actor. It was important to me that I was able to get over that, and how everybody described that class to me was that you learn to fall flat on your face over and over and over again, and you get to a point where you actually don't care, and it gets better because that's when you start being more confident in yourself and exploring different things. And that's when it actually gets better, because you start like loosening up a little bit and letting the things that actually come to your mind come out. It was also awesome in the sense that I learned that there is technique to that as well, and you do have to practice that as well. And it's not just like you're either good at it or you're bad at it. And that is a lesson I learned by doing it, not trying to do it, but doing it. And guess what? I failed a lot. There were some days it was bad, and that's okay. Nobody cares that much. And it was an opportunity for me to see why it didn't go well. And it was an opportunity for me to see where it was that I had to work on and the skills that I wasn't good at. And it gave me a path on what I should do next. So only by doing that was I going to be able to learn that. Only by doing that was I going to get over this fear that was controlling me. Like the fact that it was such a thing in my life to go to clown class. I learned a lot, and I'm so proud that I went, and I did practice bravery, and my ability to be able to just do something by the end of the class versus in the beginning of the class, because everything that we did in the beginning of the class, this was me. Forgets all languages all of a sudden, forgets everything that ever happened to me, forgets all English. I just forgot everything. My brain went blank. And listen, am I the best clown in the world? No, I'm not, but that's okay. But towards the end, I wasn't like this. For the most part, I still was sometimes, but even failing in that class was such a privilege, and I learned so much from it. I didn't fail the class, but just bombing, basically. You also get to learn that sometimes when you take that risk, it doesn't work out. And you know what happens then? Life moves on, and life continues, and you're okay, and you get to learn something from the mistakes that you just made. So win-win, no matter what. Don't let things control you. Don't let things run you. Fear is not a bad thing, but you should still do things while having fear. I hate the advice of don't be scared, don't have fear. That's not realistic. Your fear is also one of your best friends because you have fear biologically to keep you safe. So don't be against your fear. Don't try to judge your fear. It's normal to have fear. Be scared and do it anyway. Maybe that should be the lesson, actually, rather than take risks. It's be scared and do it anyway, because that's when you're going to get the most out of something, and you're going to feel the best because you overcame something that was low-key controlling you. And let me tell you guys a fun fact of how I used my clown class skills in real life. Even though I'm an actress, even though I like performing, it's crazy how scared I was to do things as myself. This for me is much scarier than an acting thing, because in an acting thing, I'm not me. I mean, I'm me, but through another person's experiences, or through another person's story. And so recently I was in Colombia because I was meeting my boyfriend's family, and I went to a wedding celebration, and all the women who weren't married had to stand up and then individually do a dance. And I was like, literally the worst way I have to give a first impression is by dancing in front of everybody, to do a solo. Mind you, it was not even 30 seconds each person. It wasn't that deep. Nobody was judging, nobody cares. And I was able to just do something. I just did whatever came to me. But I swear to God, if you had asked me to do that 6 months ago, I would have been no. I would have not gotten off of my chair. There's no way. Nobody could have forced me into that. There's just no way that I would have done that. And I'm so, so, so grateful that I took that class and I got over this thing that like things have to be perfect, that I have to know what I'm doing. And also sometimes when we view something as messing up, everybody loves it even more. So that's not a bad thing. You also learn in clown that like if everybody's laughing, it's good. It doesn't matter if you like fell on your face and it was a mistake and it wasn't supposed to happen. If everybody's laughing, you're good. So even when you make a mistake, sometimes the best lines, moments would come from mistakes. I only learned that lesson by being brave and by taking the class that the fear of it controlled my life. I took that control back. Okay, now we're gonna get so wholesome with the next lesson. Are you guys ready? Approaching everything from a place of love. And again, this is like something that I learned for myself. This is an advice that I'm giving to everyone. But for me, I switched one of my values for love. And for me, it's not limited to a romantic love or love you have for your family. It's also love for yourself. It's also love for those around you, the universe. Everything that you do it from a place of love. Because to me, it means from a place of kindness and wanting things to be better. Like doing what is best, doing the right thing, and always approaching things from that place. What doing this has given me is it has removed so many blocks that I had and so much of me questioning myself. Like this podcast, for example, who do I think I am to like be telling people what to do, to be giving people advice? I'm not a professional. I make the same mistakes that you guys probably make. So who am I to tell you what to do, right? But this idea of approaching everything that I do from a place of love allows me to get rid of that guilty and shameful feeling. And the way I approach this, for example, is there were times where I didn't have confidence. There were times where I didn't know any of these lessons. There were times where I was completely lost. And I put a lot of effort into learning, and I continue to put a lot of effort into learning and bettering myself. And I want to be able to share that with people that are interested, or share that with people that maybe are going through the same thing, or sharing that with people who haven't gone through it, but maybe they're going to learn something from this and not have to go through it. It is from a place of love and kindness. And now I know that in my heart. So if I get a ton of hate on something like this, which like it's the internet, it's inevitable, it exists, not everybody is going to like it, but at least I know in my heart that this was made with good intention and I did it out of love and wanting to share and help people. I can be satisfied with the fact that I put this out no matter what the response to it is. Somebody today told me, and she should put this on a t-shirt, most likely there are going to be people that don't like you. Don't let you be one of those people. How well said is that? This idea of love also goes for self-love and doing things like taking care of myself from a place of self-love, not working out and going to the gym because I look disgusting and I have to go if I don't want to look disgusting. Going because I love myself. I'm lucky enough to be able to go to a gym. I'm lucky enough to be able to move and work out. So I'm going to be grateful and I'm going to take advantage of that. And I deserve to be the best version of myself. I deserve to feel my best, and I'm going to treat myself with that kind of respect because I love myself. And that's how I treat people that I have respect for. Same with eating. Like it helped a lot with my eating habits. I want to take care of myself. I love myself. I deserve to eat foods that are going to make me feel good, not counting calories. And like, I'm not against counting calories. I'm not against dieting. You do what works for you. I'm not here to like judge all that. I'm just saying it wasn't working for me, and to be able to look at it from a perspective of no, I can eat whatever I want, but do I genuinely want to eat this? Because I don't feel good after I eat it. I have the ability to listen to my body, and I have the ability to take care of myself and enjoy myself while still respecting myself. And this also includes people that I spend time with and boundaries that I set with people. There are certain people I'm not going to spend time with. Respectfully, you go against every single value that I have, and I don't want to be surrounded by you because I feel like shit when I listen to you, and I'm not going to put myself through that. I don't like literally say that to people, but I kind of separate myself from certain situations. And I'm allowed to do that because I deserve to be surrounded by people that energize me, that inspire me, that make me want to be better, because I love myself and I deserve it. And I do my best to be that person for the people that I love. So like this aspect of approaching everything from a place of love has genuinely helped me in every aspect of my life, not only my own personal health, but in my relationships and navigating relationships, friendships, family stuff, career stuff, school stuff, even choosing what projects to be a part of, even with social media content. Like, am I doing this from a place of love? I think that's also like a turning point of taking Compose Bitch with Class and turning it into Level Headed is also that for me, because Compose Bitch with Class is funny. Like, I stand by it, but the purpose of this is to be better, to hold myself accountable, to share experiences, to share our thoughts, like a medium for people who want to develop themselves and somewhere where we can come together. And Composed Bitch with Class sounds a little bit more aggressive than that, and I think I came up with that at a time where I was a little bit more aggressive. And I think I had to be at the time, honestly. But now I'm just in a different phase, and I'm probably going to change again. It's natural to change, but it like almost soothed my soul to look at everything from a place of like, I'm going to approach this from a place of love, always. It also helps a lot when you feel like you want to get back at someone, but you don't want to lower your standards and you don't want to act like them, because sometimes people will test you and you're like, you don't think I can do this right back to you and nobody would know? But no, we hold ourselves to a higher standard than people who are bullies, who are rude, who are mean. Always, for me at least, always approach things from a place of love and wanting to make things better and being better. Number 7 is connected to coming from a place of love, and it is that listening to your body is not a weakness. I think this also generally goes more for women because we do have more hormones. We have much more complicated cycles. Like, a man's cycle is releasing testosterone every 15 minutes, if I'm not mistaken, and a woman's cycle lasts an entire month, and we have 4 different phases in that entire month. It's a little bit more complicated, I think, for women than it is for men. I always struggled being consistent with working out when I went to the States. Before that, when I lived here in Turkey, and for a big chunk of high school and like the year that I stayed here after high school, I was working out so consistently. I was feeling so good. When I went to America, it was so hard for me to keep that habit alive. And this year was the year that I was the most consistent with moving my body. And like, I'm not nearly as consistent as I would like to be. However, the difference from the year before and now is huge for me, because what I used to do before is I would say, I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. and I'm going to go to the gym every single day. I'm going to strength train. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And I usually ended up doing really hard workouts and burning myself out. And like, I did that for a week. And then for a good month or 2, I did nothing. And then I would also just feel like shit because I was saying I was going to do something and I wasn't doing it. And this year, I noticed that either my workouts were not like suitable to be able to do them 4 times a week. Basically, I was like all or nothing, and I was so limited with the way that I saw how I could work out. And sometimes when I was on my period, I genuinely felt so exhausted. Working out would make me feel worse than it did before, and learning that if I am physically exhausted, I don't need to go and strength train again, and that doesn't make me someone who couldn't stick to a plan. I can find something that works differently. For example, if I still want to move, I can go on a walk that day. I can do mat Pilates at home. I can do it for 10 minutes. That's still more than not doing anything. And there were some phases where that was a lot better for also my nervous system, like times where I was extremely stressed. Sometimes I liked just going and doing cardio, or sometimes I liked doing something that was like relaxing and bringing my nervous system back to normal. Before, without even realizing it, I wasn't actually listening to my body at all. I was forcing myself, and in a way I was almost working against my body. And being able to see that it is not weak to listen to your body, it doesn't mean that you have to sit in bed and eat chips when you listen to your body. It means that maybe you can go for a walk instead of lifting heavy weights. I was able to be so much more consistent in moving, which was big for me because, again, if I love myself, I want to take care of myself, and I have the privilege to be able to move, so I'm gonna work out and I'm gonna be nice to my body. And that brings me to another lesson that I learned, number 8, which is that rest is productive. When I started literally scheduling time, okay, I'm not allowed to work after this hour, I started working so much more productively because I knew at 7 o'clock I'm not allowed to work anymore. So until 7, I would be hustling to get everything done, and I would end up getting so much more done than if I had said I have all night to do this. Giving myself deadlines because I deserve also to rest helped me work better and to be more productive. I never thought in my life I would be saying this, but I am the person who gets the essay done a week in advance, and I was not like that the first 2 2 years of college, but the last 2 years, and honestly, the first time I did this, it came from a place of like, I had so much work outside of school to get done that I was like, I have to get this out of the way. And I dedicated one entire day to only writing all of my essays. And it was torture, but I got it done and I didn't have to think about it for so long. And it felt so good to have that done and to be in the library and being like, okay, I'm going to go to bed, and seeing people that were going to stay there the whole night for something they had to submit at 8 a.m. And the fact that I could just go home and go to bed, I never felt better in my whole life. So I started making that a habit. If I get the essay, I'm going to get it done immediately because I don't want to torture myself. I want to give myself time to rest. It's almost like I'm respecting my time more and I deserve to rest, and I make it as important as the thing that I have to get done, and it makes me really put in that effort to get that stuff done. And you just feel so good going to bed knowing that you did what you had to do. There's nothing better, especially if you're an overthinker. You should really consider this if you're someone who like overthinks before going to bed, because I do that a lot, and then sometimes I can't sleep because my brain is like overdrive. Be very specific with when is your time to work and when is your time to rest, and add rest into your schedule. It's going to force you to really have to like figure out when you work, and I promise you're going to be more productive. Lesson number 7 is interesting. It's more about a perspective thing, and it's to open yourself up to not only what you think you need, but what you want. Some people look at this as being greedy, but this really helped me open my perspectives to what is actually possible in life. And sometimes I think we set our goals based on what we know to be true, what we have seen in our life, what we frame to be important or doable or realistic. I think sometimes allowing yourself to just live in fantasy land a little bit and think about what you want opens so many doors to things that maybe you didn't even think were a possibility, and to get your brain to start thinking like, what would I have to do for that thing to be possible, for me to get that thing that I really, really want. Something where I really noticed how focusing on what you want versus what you need can really open your perspective to what is possible is when I was budgeting. So I have a survival budget, which is the lowest one, and then I have like a things are good budget, and then I have like a if I had unlimited resources, if I could have anything, but I had to put numbers on it, what would my budget be? It's like the dream budget, okay? I get to choose, like if there's the going out section, the food section, the bills section, you know, whatever it is. And at first I used the same sections for all three, and then I was like, wait a minute, like if I could have anything that I wanted, I would have an entire beauty section. I would have a section that is just for facials and going to the dermatologist when I have a big pimple and all the beauty treatments like lasers. I love that kind of stuff, and I would be doing stuff like that all the time. Also, I would have a massage budget, or massage would be part of wellness. Like I would get weekly massages at least once a week. And this is like dream budget. It's so fun to think of all these things and to actually like think, how much does that actually cost? Like put numbers on everything and look at how much it would actually cost for me to live that life, just for my brain to open up to that being a reality. That is a possibility. Like that is, some people do live like that. Like that's not impossible. So for that, I would have to be making at least this much money per month or per year. What would that entail? And that again, like starts making you think about how much money you're making now. Okay, wait. So if I wanted to make this much money, like what would I have to change? It allows you to open your perspective to other possibilities, to other things that your life can be, to other things that you can set as goals. And it does it in a fun and empowering way rather than like, look how shitty your situation is now, haha. It's more like, oh my god, how fun would this be? And like you get to decide all of those things, and you get to decide if that's something you care about. Like I know that probably my brother wouldn't have a beauty section, you know what I mean? What everybody cares about is different. Everybody's goals are different. Doesn't mean you have to want specific things. It's just sometimes focusing more on what you want rather than what you need really helps you open your perspective up to what is possible and what there is for you to actually work towards. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to give you 2 more. I've decided this is number 10, and it's whether you believe you can do it or not, you're right. It's a quote I heard. I think it's Kanye West again. Don't cancel me. I had like a moment that this really hit me this summer when I was with my mom, my dad, and my brother on a vacation, and we were all together and we drove there. So my brother brought weights to work out and he was doing an arm workout and we joined in and he was making me and my mom go in turns and he was like watching our form, making sure we were doing well, really pushing us. Like it wasn't just some like fun, silly workout. Like to me and my mom, it was in the beginning, but my brother was so strict and he's an athlete. So he's obviously in a different level. But my mom works out every single day. I swear to God. She's extremely fit, fitter than me. It's a little bit embarrassing. And also she's like done my workouts before. I might have slightly stronger legs, okay? But my mom's upper body is insane. Like, you would not expect it because she's this tiny little delicate woman and her upper body is so much stronger than mine. It's wild. Like, I was embarrassed working out with her. But we were doing these workouts and I was able to do more reps than my mom. And my brother got so angry at her and he turned at her. And to him, he was saying something very matter of fact. He said, "You're stronger than her and she still did more than you because she believed in herself and you didn't." Because my mom throughout the whole workout was going, "I know, I can't do anymore. I can't do anymore." And the more my brother pushed her to do it, she managed. But she was much more open to giving up. And I was like, "No, I can do it." Like the weakest one there saying, no, I can do it. I can do it. And my brother, he told her, because you don't believe in yourself, she did more than you, but you're stronger than her. You should be able to do more than her. And my mom started crying. My brother literally meant that from like the perspective of arm muscles, but I think it hit something deeper for my mom. And it was such a good life lesson that it's literally about whether you can think it or not. And of course, the physical aspect has a lot to do with it. Training for something, working towards the things that you want is very important. But also, if you don't even think that that's a possibility. So that was a very eye-opening, very great lesson. And the last one I'm going to leave you guys with. This one's about your physical beauty. Your natural features and your natural colors are what suits you best. And I've been trying to get rid of my hair highlights for a long time. I didn't want to dye my hair again. So I was just waiting for it to grow out. Sometimes I would use those conditioners with color. And now I'm fully back to my natural hair color. And I cannot believe I had highlights for so long. I think my complexion looks better. My skin looks better. My eyes look better. It's less maintenance. I've noticed that just like the things sometimes that take the least amount of maintenance are the ones that naturally make you look your best. I think in order to be your most effortlessly pretty, if that makes sense, is usually by embracing your natural features rather than trying to change them. I loved my highlights, but I looked good with my highlights when I had makeup on and my hair was done, not when it was frizzy and dry and the same color as my skin. I feel like now my features, like they just work a lot better together. And when I was little, I thought like I couldn't live without highlights. I used to think like I don't know what I would do if I didn't get highlights, which is just crazy to me now. And I just want to say, I think sometimes it takes growing up to notice that your best features are the ones that are naturally God-given. That was a big lesson for me. And the main source of that was my hair. Thank you guys so much for watching Level Headed. It means a lot to me that you're listening. I hope you guys have the most amazing year ever. You all deserve it. Work towards your goals. My call to action for this video is for you to write down all the wins of 2024. We're not that deep into the year yet. Sit down, write down all the wins. There's no such thing as too small of a win. Write them all down and take a look and then write down the wins that you want to have for 2025. I wish you guys the best. I love you guys so much. Let me know what you think. I would love to hear your opinions. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it, if you learned anything from it. If there's anything that you would like to add or anything you disagree with or any experiences you've had that you would like to share, feel free to leave them in the comments because I love to connect with you guys there and subscribe. Okay, I love you. Bye.